and take necessary precautions. Currently, over 50,000 victims are in 186 temporary evacuation centres across the country. The total number of flood victims so far has reached more than 230,000 since late November, the highest since the major floods that hit the country in 2014. He said that so far, the flood situation in Kelantan and Terengganu had improved a little, while the same could not be said for several areas in Johor and Pahang, which showed a rising trend. The signing of the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, or SEZ agreement, initially scheduled for next Monday, has been postponed to January next year. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says the delay was due to Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong testing positive for COVID-19.
On Tuesday, Wong said he was self-isolating at home after testing positive for COVID-19 for the first time. Both governments in January agreed to develop the SEZ in Johor. It aims to attract investment and free up the movement of goods and people. Proposals for the project include a passport-free immigration clearance system, cooperation on renewable energy, and simplifying business approvals. On November 28th, Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said that the review of the draft joint JSSEZ agreement was in its final stage and expected to be finalised this December.
Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail has denied claim of a data breach involving 17 million MyKad records. He says an internal investigation by the National Registration Department, or JPN, and the National Cyber Security Agency, or NACSA, has found no evidence supporting this claim.
Kita berjaminan bahawa integriti data, utama maklumat population kita ni, itu core business Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara. So, lebih baik tidak disebarkan berita-berita yang macam itu.
The viral claim was shared on social media platform X from dark web threat intelligence firm Stealth Mode, who posted samples of MyKad allegedly being leaked and sold on the dark web. Saifuddin urged the public to exercise caution before trusting any unverified information.
In order to combat the rising diabetes epidemic in Malaysia, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has urged all citizens to take his recommendation to reduce their sugar intake significantly. Speaking at the Dewan Negara today, Anwar highlighted that Malaysia is among the countries with the highest number of diabetes cases.
He mentioned that Negeri Sembilan now leads in the number of cases, surpassing Kelantan and Kedah. Starting in January, the excise duty on sugary drinks will increase by 40 cents per litre. Additionally, he proposed that the Parliament's canteen and cafes reduce the sugar content in beverages by 50%, following the Prime Minister's department's example. The 2023 National Health and Morbidity Survey revealed that 15.6% of Malaysians have diabetes, with many cases undiagnosed.
The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, has reported a sharp rise in AI-generated explicit content removal. As of December 1st, the MCMC has taken down 1,225 pieces of explicit content compared to just 186 in 2022, a staggering 559% increase.
Deputy Communications Minister Tioni Cheng also revealed that child sexual exploitation content removals surged to 800 cases this year, up from only 34 in 2022.
Oleh sebab itu, kita telah mencadangkan dalam rang undang-undang untuk meminda Akta 588 di mana kalau sesiapa didapati bahawa mereka memberikan komunikasi lucah bagi masuk komersial, mereka boleh dihukum dengan penjara tidak melebihi 5 tahun ataupun bolehlah didenda tidak melebihi RM1 juta ataupun kedua-dua. Jadi saya harap bahawa ahli-ahli yang berhormat bolehlah menyokong RUU ini.
Mental health issues among students in schools and higher learning institutions have more than doubled from 2019 to 2023. This is according to Deputy Health Minister Datuk Lukanisman Awang Sauni, who says that an action plan to address the issue of suicidal behaviour among youth will be launched next year.
The action plan, he said, would be in collaboration with the World Health Organization, WHO, as well as UNICEF. According to the National Health Morbidity Survey, the prevalence of mental health problems in this group has surged from 7.9% in 2019, affecting 424,000 individuals, to 16.5% in 2023, impacting more than 922,000 individuals. The survey also reveals a concerning rise in suicidal thoughts over the past decade, with suicidal ideation increasing from 7.9% in 2012 to 13.1% in 2022. Lukanisman also pointed to high-density housing areas, particularly the Low-Cost People's Housing Program (PPR), as a contributing factor to mental health challenges, with a notable link between these areas and increasing suicide ideation among teenagers.
Ananda Krishnan Tatparanandam, chairman of Usaha Tegas, was laid to rest at the Lok Yew Crematorium in Kuala Lumpur at noon today. Earlier, his remains were brought out from his residence in Brickfields at around 9:45 a.m. for cremation, following a Hindu religious ceremony. The ceremony was attended by approximately 100 family members and close friends, including former Transport Minister Tun Ling Leong Sik, who was present to pay his respects. The Brickfields residence holds priceless nostalgia for the Ananda Krishnan family, as it was the place where he was born and where many cherished memories were made. Ananda Krishnan passed away last Thursday at the age of 86. We'll go for a short break. Stay with us.
Kerap menggaru kulit kepala disebabkan kelumut, masalahnya lebih mendalam. Gunalah Head & Shoulders baru, menembusi 5 lapisan untuk membasmi kelumut dan kegatalan. Bebas kelumut sehingga 100%. Head & Shoulders baru.
Atuk,
Alamak, itu mana ni?
Ha, atuk ada misi. Slow lah, Tok. Mak dah settle. Wah, barulah indah. Terima kasih, Doktor.
IWK, 3 dekad memelihara kesejahteraan rakyat.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene Baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene Baharu.
Welcome back. South Korean opposition parties have submitted a motion to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol over his short-lived declaration of martial law. In a surprise late-night address, Yoon's announcement sent shockwaves through the nation. The move faced widespread defiance and condemnation. Despite military helicopters hovering over the parliament building, 190 lawmakers managed to enter and unanimously voted to reject the martial law declaration, demanding its immediate repeal. Meanwhile, hundreds took to the streets, protesting and chanting for the president's arrest, adding to mounting calls for Yoon to step down. To successfully impeach a president, a two-thirds majority is needed in the legislature. Opposition parties currently control 192 out of 300 seats in the National Assembly, meaning they would need support from members of Yoon's own party to move forward with the impeachment. Voting to impeach South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol is expected to take place by the end of this week. Dr. Hu Chiu-ping, Senior Fellow at the East Asian International Relations Caucus, weighs in on the likelihood of Yoon being suspended from his position soon.
So because they already have the precedence of impeaching the previous president, Park Geun-hye, so that's why they can mobilize the proceeding so swiftly this time as well. And given the fact that Yoon Suk-yeol's popularity rating is much lower, one of the lowest in the post-democratic transformation of South Korea. So I think it is highly likely that he will be impeached. And because as of today, actually in the morning, the opposition party trying to give Yoon an opportunity to resign himself, of which he showed no sign to do so. So that's why they move forward with the motion to impeach him. So in high likelihood, post-impeachment South Korea would be move forward to hold another election within 60 days. So this would mean that we will see a lot of changes and political struggle at the domestic level.
The motion, said Hu, also underscores South Korea's commitment to democratic principles.
I think the shock of a sudden declaration of martial law show that there are loopholes that president can still exploit, because the current constitution of South Korea was designed in the way that they would like to avoid any future presidents that overwhelm the rule of law in the country, because they have suffered through dictatorship before military regimes and living under martial law period. And people didn't want to go back to that time. So thankfully, most of the lawmakers in the National Assembly right now, they are known as the 386 generation. So they went to university when the military coup was happening, and then into adulthood, they were activists opposing, trying to push for democratization and also experiencing economic boom. So these are the major principles that ensure South Korea continue to advance. So, and these are the things that, so I would foresee there would be some requests to revise or amend the constitution to make very clear that, and actually the current provision is sufficient enough for the lawmakers to stop, to end the martial law declaration, for example. But there was a fear midnight when we saw that the lawmakers were hustling with the military personnel. So what if the military personnel actually managed to apprehend them, not allow them to enter the National Assembly? And today we might see a South Korea under active implementation of martial law. So I think South Korea moving forward would be trying to prevent such incidents from happening again.
Meanwhile, French lawmakers are set to vote on a no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Michel Barnier later today. If the motion passes, Barnier is expected to become the shortest-serving Prime Minister in France's Fifth Republic, with the far-right National Rally likely to join left-wing parties in supporting his ouster.
Should he fail to survive the vote, it would mark the first time in over 60 years that a French government has been forced out by a no-confidence motion. The impending collapse comes just weeks before Donald Trump's return to the White House for a second term, potentially creating a leadership void in the European Union. It is also occurring at a time when France is grappling with a massive budget deficit and ongoing political crisis. The turmoil was triggered by snap elections called by President Emmanuel Macron over the summer, which left no party or faction in parliament with a majority, and Barnier's administration vulnerable to constant challenges. If the government collapses, Barnier is expected to serve as caretaker prime minister until Macron announces a new cabinet.
Namibia has elected Netambo Nandi-Ndaitwah, the ruling SWAPO party, as its first female president, securing her place in history. Her victory solidifies SWAPO's 34-year grip on power, a party that led Namibia to independence from apartheid South Africa in the 1990s.
The current vice president won with 57% of the vote, defeating 14 other candidates according to official results from last week's presidential election. The 72-year-old has a long history, having part of Namibia's underground independence movement in the 1970s. She was promoted from foreign minister to vice president in February. Meanwhile, opposition parties have rejected the election results, claiming technical issues such as ballot shortages and the extended voting period were illegal. They plan to challenge the results in court.
That wraps up this edition of AWANI Tonight. I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Thanks for watching and good night.